episode with the OG crew. We're -1 today, but it's always good to be back with the fellas, the ones we do have here today. And I guess we talk about a little bit about it, man. Super Bowl did just pass. The Chiefs got the job done. I think majority of us are happy campers around here. I'll go to you first, Ian. What did you think of the Super Bowl?
Yeah, the Super Bowl was, well, I'll tell you what, it was maybe on pace to be the most boring, dull, horrendous Super Bowl I've ever seen for the first half, of that game, which was really it was a hard watch early in that football game. It needed something to get it going. And it really felt like that, unfortunately for San Francisco fans and backers, it got them going in the wrong way. That fumble, it really started to turn that game and get it into something exciting, tense, dramatic down the stretch. Kansas City scored off that. And then it was kind of this back and forth we got late third quarter and in the fourth quarter. And it just, the quality of the game just went up quite a bit. From that point on, it was tense. It was back and forth. The Niners are going to look back on that game and say, we had third and short. We get that first down, and it's under 2 minutes left. They've only got two timeouts. We've got a great chance to close this game out and win. But Steve Spagnuolo, that great defensive coordinator who deserves a ton of credit for the Chiefs winning the Super Bowl for the way that defense played all year. He brings an extra blitzer, McDuffie, out of the secondary, gets right in Purdy's face, and incomplete pass. It had no chance. Fourth down, Mahomes gets the ball back, down 3 in the fourth quarter. The rest is history. He drives them down. They kick the field goal to tie it. Goes to overtime. Chiefs defense again gets the big stop in the red zone, holds San Francisco to a field goal. And then you've got Patrick Mahomes with the ball in his hands with a chance to win the game in overtime. How does he not get it done? Of course he does. It was a phenomenal drive. Big fourth down he picked up with his legs. He had a couple of big runs on that drive. He found Kelsey for some big receptions, Rashee Rice, and of course the game winner to Mecole Hardman. A jackpot Kansas City indeed for not only Kansas City but me and Skee and anyone that was back in the Chiefs in that game. Well said by Jim Nantz, and so true.
Yeah, we did the right thing, man. We did the right thing for sure. And on that one that third down play you're talking about where Chris Jones got there, I think I want to say Ayuk might have been open at the top. Or maybe if he had like one more second, he might have been open. So for him to get there and for Spags to call that play, like you said, was huge for the outcome of the game. Wham Bam, how you feeling today? What did you think about the Super Bowl? I got to give Purdy a little bit of credit for how he came out the gate. What you
Yeah.
think about it?
Yeah, no, it was a great showing for all the Swifties that was watching the game. Of course, we was going see a good game. I was thinking the game before, like the day of too, like, man, if they really gonna show out for the Swifties, they gonna send this shit to overtime. I should have bet that shit. I was mad. I was so annoyed with that shit the whole day. So as much as I didn't lose money in this damn the playoff game, I did lose on the first both teams to score, and the Pacheco prop didn't cash. That was so annoying seeing him fumble there. That was annoying there. So other than that, yeah, I had fun. I had fun. I drunk a lot. I couldn't do the play-by-play like my boy Babeno did. I don't think we should be relying on me to do anything like that. So I'm glad my boy is here with us. And shout out to my guy Doug. Shout out to everybody in the chat too. Star Child, Handicap to Cap, Justin, Bill, Daryl. You know what I'm saying? Ocean, the Great. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to y'all, Bill. I said Bill already. David. You already know, man. We don't got a long card today, but it's actually longer than we're normally getting on Tuesdays. I don't know if that's something that we should be expecting like from the rest of the season or anything, but today's actually a good card. I liked a lot of these games, and yeah, man, let's talk about it, bro.
Yeah, let's get to it. We got 6 up today, and we'll do a quick touch on if we like anything for tomorrow. So, first game up, rotation order per usual. We will go 501, 502. Oklahoma City heading into Orlando. Opened up Thunder -3. Consensus is still -3 right now. Total open 227 and is down. Looks like 223.5 currently. Injury report, nobody on there for the Magic. For the Thunder, they'll be without Biyombo and Gordon Hayward. So I'll come to you here, Babano. Are you going with the Hamilton kid, or you think Orlando's been a little bit too hot lately?
Yeah, I got Skee throwing out the word Hamilton now in reference to Shea Gilgeous-Alexander because I talk about it so damn much every time we talk about the Thunder on this show. That SGA, young boy from Hamilton, Ontario, the Hammer. Alexander. That's the nickname of the city. It's a great nickname for the city. It makes perfect sense. Yeah, the Hammer. And he's been the hammer for the Oklahoma City Thunder this year, and the opponents often have been the nail when they faced Oklahoma City. Well, they've obviously had a great first half. Now, we are seeing signs of this great point spread run that the Thunder have been on much of the season. Not so much lately. Okay, just 2-6 against the spread their last 8 games. They're coming off a blowout win, though, against Sacramento, 127-113. That was like 6 times revenge, not just double or triple, because Sacramento's owned them. And finally, they got the better of the Sacramento Kings in that game, 127-113. They got Sacramento, and it was a back-to-back, actually, for Oklahoma City as well. So very solid win for them. Magic, though, are balling right now. They're hooping 5 of their last 6 games. They have won coming into this game, including an overtime win against Chicago in their last game. These are two. It's a clear pass for me from a side perspective. These are 2 teams I'd rather back than fade, especially in this spot. But to be quite honest, and I hate saying this because they're my team and Shea's the guy right from my backyard here, but I'd probably lean Orlando a little bit here. +3 home dog. A home dog spot. I think the Magic this year as a home dog have been pretty good. Not a game I'm going to get involved with, but I think there is some value on Orlando in this spot. And again, 17-7 straight up, and also 17-7 against the number on their home floor this year. So it's a pass for me, Skee, but we'll slightly lean Orlando a little bit.
Magic are 7-4 as a home dog, and they've covered 7 of their last 8 games. They have their top 10 defensive rated team and top 5 rebounding team in the last 5 games, and OKC is bottom 10, both of those categories. So, Wham Bam, I'm going to come to you and ask you, is this more, a Paolo day, or do you believe in Magic?
I actually do believe more in Paolo here than I do for the full game Magic. I think that the Thunder, I'm not trying to bet against this Thunder team. I know that they're getting the old man back. They're getting the old man eventually inserting into the lineup. I'm not going to expect them to have any crazy contribution from fucking Gordon Hayward or anything like that, bro. So I'm gonna just leave that there. But for the most part, I do think that this is a pretty solid enough spot for the Oklahoma City Thunder to come out here and win this game and cover. It's just a tricky spot though, because Orlando is one of those teams that they should be getting help. I mean, should be getting respect. But I just think this is just a bad matchup for him. I don't know necessarily how to put it other than Shea is going to get his, and they're going to have more contributions coming from the bench. But I just believe that this is just a little bit more of a well-oiled team than the other. So I'm just going to give it to I'm going to give it to Oklahoma City. But I have nothing in this game at all.
All right, I do lean towards those Magic. We'll see if I can get there by the end. We'll go over to the next game, and that is 504 Boston Celtics going into Brooklyn to face the Nets. Opened up Celtics -9, now -8.5. Total open 230.5, and it looks like 227. For the injury report, Cam Johnson out for the Nets. Porzingis game time decision. Both Springer and Tillman are out for this Celtics team. So I'm coming back to you here, Wham Bam. I like them dirty dogs, and I know you've been rocking with some of these dirty dogs too. I think the Nets are the right side here, and the reason I say that is because Boston is not playing great basketball. They've only covered one of their last 8 games, 9-12-2 as a road favorite. There's a Porzingis game time decision, and they play tomorrow, so they may have to save some of that energy for tomorrow. Nets, if I'm not mistaken, do have the rest advantage here tonight too. I could only look towards Nets plus the points. How do you feel about it, Wham Bam?
Yeah, I think we got to get on this Nets right now. I haven't bet this yet either, but I was waiting for you. You know what I'm saying? Because like you said, I only go to the dirty dogs for my boy Skee, and this is the dirtiest too. This is probably the dirtiest. Probably the dirtiest of the day, and I think you said it too, because Porzingis, he was hooping like a motherfucker last game on the Super Bowl Sunday. Man, he was really hooping. And I think that he is not going to play this day. I don't think he's. What's the point of them rushing him out there today? Knowing that they do have another game coming up you know, against this same fucking team. Like, you know what I mean? Like they going back to back against the same team. So
Oh, it's the same, yeah.
yeah, it's back to back. So it's like they could really just chill out with the question. I think, and the fact that he got labeled questionable makes me really think the Nets are gonna win this. Well, not even win, not possibly win this game. I think they got a chance too, honestly. But that's why I said this is one of the dirtiest, because the fact that they do play again, and I think that Porzingis is a big point of this future. I think for this team, they don't want to rush him out there. I don't think he's going to play, so you're going to get a little opportunity to beat a little line movement if we get on it now. That's why I want to talk to you about it, bro. I haven't bet this yet, but I like this next spot here, bro. It makes sense, man.
Do you feel the same, Babeno?
Yes,
Muted.
indeed. Yeah,
There you
yes,
go.
indeed. For me, I look at Boston here and like just 1-7 against the spread their last 8 games. I mean, they've just not been covering these numbers consistently as big or chalk. I actually was on Miami on Super Bowl Sunday against Boston. Even with Jimmy Butler a late absence, I decided to stand pat and say, that money kept trickling in on Boston after Butler was ruled out. And I'm like, I'm standing pat on this one. Not convinced Boston's going to win this game by margin. And sure enough, Miami was right there, actually, even without Butler. They lost. Josh Richardson got injured in that game as well during it. So Terry Rozier as well. And then all of a sudden, they're losing bodies left and right. Butler didn't even play. And they still hung in there wire to wire against Boston in that game. They only lost by 4, down to the wire, 110-106. Brooklyn, now, Brooklyn hasn't stepped up consistently against the better teams of late. They lose to the Suns in blowout fashion. They lose to the Warriors. They lose to the Mavericks by 12. They lose to Cleveland by 23. So that's a concern. You are talking about a really good Boston team, but they did beat San Antonio by 20. It's just, to me, not a Boston spot, and a Boston team that, regardless of who they've played, winning by margin's been a problem. Indiana only by 5. The Lakers, they have that no-show when everybody was ruled out. The LeBron and AD both missed that game, and Boston probably thought, hey, we're going to have it easy tonight, and they ended up losing that outright. Against Atlanta, who are as mediocre and average and mid as it gets, they only won by 8. They only won by 4 against Washington. That was another spot where I thought the Wizards were getting too many points in that game against Boston. So I am going to take the Nets here, plus the 8.5. Boston playing tomorrow night. They're just not covering numbers. Give me Brooklyn here.
And I also like Ben Simmons points, bro. I think he's going to get over 6.5 points. You might be able to get 5.5 or 5.5 with the juice there. But I'm going to pay to play, man. I'm taking Ben Simmons over 6.5 points at a plus 105, man. I think that's a good play. Last game he had 13 points on 22 minutes. I think he gets a little bit more minutes in this game. So I like them a lot. Ben Simmons.
We like the Nets. All kind of feeling the same way here on the panel. So good work. We'll move it on over to 505, 506. Heat, Bucks. Opened up Bucks minus 7.5. I see them as 8 or 8.5 point favorites. Total open 228 and is down as low as 222.5. The injury report: Duncan Robinson is game time decision for Miami. Jimmy Butler, Josh Richardson, Terry Rozier, all out. Giannis and Pat Connaughton, I'm sorry, they're both probable. And then Lillard is probable, and Lopez too. So all 4 of them probable. Middleton is the only one clearly out. This is a Bucks team on a back-to-back. I'll come to you here, Babano. Bucks team on a back-to-back. And, I'm kind of conflicted. They may seem like they can start to turn a corner a little bit, but I still need to see some consistency before I begin to put my money on it. Heat have been covering numbers, and we've seen plenty of times where the star players get ruled out and the guys who are stepping in step up. Do you think that happens tonight, Babano?
Yeah, I had some good bets last night as far as, Houston and, Washington, and there's some good results. Minnesota, I took them in the late night hours against the Clippers. But one of them that was not good for me was Denver last night against Milwaukee. And I just thought, look, you're going to give me the better team at a pick 'em price here against a Milwaukee team. I've still got questions, but credit to the Bucks. They came out and they smacked the Nuggets, and they didn't look back last night. About as good a game as they played under Glenn Rivers since he's been the head coach. Although with a performance like that, he's trying to get that Doc name back in in the fold again with that performance last night. But you're right. There's there's an element to this game tonight that let's see it again from Milwaukee. Let's see consistency. Let's see you bring the defensive intensity that you did last night against the defending NBA champions before I'm ready to lay 8 with you here on a back-to-back against a Miami team that does have the rest advantage here. They haven't played since Super Bowl Sunday against Boston, but my fear here about back in the Heat is all the injuries that they're dealing with. Now, they got through it against Boston with many of these same guys out of the lineup. That was the game where they lost Richardson to injury. They lost Rozier to injury during that Celtics game, and yet they still hung in there and gave themselves a chance to win right down to the wire. But going to be a little bit more difficult going start to finish without all those guys tonight here against Milwaukee. So I'll be honest. If you're going to ask me right now, 8.5, would you take Miami or would you take Milwaukee? I would honestly still lean Miami here with the rest advantage. And look, even with the absences, we saw this makeshift lineup that Eric Spoelstra has been unfortunately forced to roll with here because of all the absences. They played hard. They played well. You know, Caleb Martin was a Jaime Jaquez, who I think is a good player prop tonight, because when you see that Butler's out, when you see that Richardson's out, when you see that Terry Rozier's out, who's going to score other than Tyler Hero? I think Jaime Jaquez has that capability to be that next secondary option for the Miami Heat offensively. So his over at prop, I think, is like 13.5, 14.5. I think he can go over that point prop. That's what I like probably more than anything tonight is that Jaquez prop. Lean Miami. I'm not sure I'm going to get to the window, though.
All right. I'll slide it on over to you here, Wham Bam. They're asking about the total, too. I'll just say it's gone down a little bit too much. I think that, there's still some guys on the Miami side who can score, and those same guys don't play the greatest defense. So I think at 222.5, I would start to buck the drop and play it the other way. But Wham Bam, do you agree with this? Is it a little bit too many points for the Bucks, or how you feel?
Yeah, I was on the under yesterday, so I kind of don't feel the need to jump right into this trend that everybody wants. I think maybe y'all missed the party yesterday. It was just a good opportunity. I think today, like you said, line kind of went a little out of control for me to jump in it now. And I actually still see value in the spread here. I think that this is it is a spot here for the Bucks. I mean, as far as like being off of a back-to-back, this is a front end of a back-to-back for the Heat. They do play tomorrow. I think that this is a spot where, they still struggle on the road in the first half. Not one of the better first half road teams over the last 5 first halves that you haven't covered. And this is a team, like you said, I said his name. Glenn is getting his name back. You know what I'm saying? I almost said his name right there. You feel me? Because I'm getting comfortable seeing this team play a little bit better. And I'm right there with you, Lante. I like the first half, bro. I think that this Heat team, like I said, over the last 5 games, they haven't been able to cover in the first half on the road. 7 of the last 10 they were able to cover. So they only covered 3 in the last 10, if that makes more sense. But I like this. I like the fade this Heat spot early, maybe in the full game. Tire legs, come back to haunt this Bucks team. They maybe lack it up a little bit, allow these guys to cover. But I think in the first half, 4.5, I got it at -120. And you still could get it at -120 as well. I think that's good money there. So I like the Bucks first half. It's levels to this shit type play, as my boy Dutch will say. And I think that the Bucks right now, they on a whole nother level, especially with Terry Rozier being out. I was on Terry Rozier to go over 15.5 points. We know that we're not going to get Jimmy Butler here as well. He got his family thing to tend to. Prayers out to his peoples and everything. But I think this is a bad spot. They really was hoping Terry Rozier to be their savior. And he looked like he was about to do it, man. I was hoping that he was doing it, and then he got injured. Looks like he's going to be out for some weeks. So it's going to be tough. But I do agree with Jaime Jaquez Jr. That does look like a good look because they got to lean on someone scoring. So that would be the only way I would be thinking anything Miami, or maybe just full game, like I said, because this is a second half of a back-to-back for the Bucks. So I'm only going first half here with the Bucks -4.5. That's the official play for me.
Bam says, get in and get out. I do think the longer the game goes on, it favors Miami. So I agree with that thought process. Anything else you want to add, Babano?
That's really it. Really,
Okay.
other than I think I actually probably will spring. I'm going to see where this line, if it gets a little higher, if it gets to 8.5, 9, I start seeing number like that, we're going to grab a small piece of Miami. I'm not convinced yet with Milwaukee especially on a back-to-back. That game meant a lot too. That's Denver. Denver beat them in Denver a few weeks ago. It was a revenge spot. There was definitely some focus from the Milwaukee Bucks for that game last night against the Denver Nuggets. I'm not convinced we see that focus tonight.
All right, I agree. 507, 508, Kings, Suns. Open Suns -4. They're 4.5-point favorites. Total open 243. Not much movement. Consensus looks like 245. For the injury report here, you do have Damian Lee, Thaddeus Young out for the Kings. Forward and Lyles are game time decision. Sasha Vasenkov, you will not see anytime soon. So I'll come to you here, Wham Bam, and I'll ask you this. The Kings are a team that I've sworn off of. But as soon as I don't bet them, I feel like they start to win a couple games.
Yeah.
How I feel about this one is this is one of those games where it's levels to this shit. And Phoenix, they're starting to play good right now. They're playing good defense. And the Kings are not getting any stops. The Suns shoot the three well. The Kings are the worst team in the league defending the three. So you agree with me, Wham? Is this one of those plays where it's levels to this shit?
Yeah, man, I think you might be right, bro. I think you might be right. It is levels to this shit as of late, for sure. You know what I mean? Just like you said, just the defending, they're not really good at defending the ball. And I don't care if you're playing just a little good of defense for this Suns team, they're gonna be a elite team. They don't even have to be top 10 defense. They just need to be like middle of the pack because they got so much good offense coming, especially now that they're figuring out how to get Bradley Beal involved into the spread here. That's the way I was looking into this game because y'all know I've been looking at his production as the kind of the not saying the catalyst, but more like the focal point of why these guys have been playing really well. I think he has a lot to do with that. Without him, they done mortgaged a lot for this motherfucker. So I'll just say that. So they need this shit to work with him starting out there. So I think him to get 20 points is kind of the way we got to be looking at them to play these high tempo type games. He need to at least have that. You know what I mean? So having his prop at like 18.5, 17.5, wherever you could get it at, I think that's good value there. I think that this is a high tempo game again, even though I do agree with you saying that they're going to play a little bit better defense on this Kings team. But, we know it's the type of speed and what type of game style is going to be. I think this is going to be a good, favorable matchup for Bradley Beal as well. So I like Bradley Beal to go over his points. That was the way I was looking in this game. As far as anything else on the side, it's tricky there, but I do agree. It is levels to this shit. If I was to think of anything, I'm thinking that the Suns come out here and smack them up too. So I like Bradley Beal though. So that's the reason why I lean his prop is because I think he correlates with them winning.
All right, Babano. I think I agree with the market pushing his total up. I mean, I just said the Kings don't play any defense, and the Suns can definitely exploit it. Both teams playing with pace. Is that the way you're looking?
100%. Absolutely. Overs in pocket. Little Phoenix split too. Suns minus the points. Split evenly, 50-50 with Suns team total over. And I want a 50-50 split on that because one thing that I'm worried about, and we saw at the last meeting with Sacramento Phoenix, is Phoenix didn't really defend Sacramento all that well. And Phoenix has had issues with Sacramento in the past. In fact, Sacramento's covered 5 straight times and beat Phoenix 4 of the last 5 meetings. And the last meeting, which Phoenix did win, that was a game where Sacramento was leading most of the game. They were up by, I believe, 16 at halftime, 17 at halftime. It was a complete meltdown and collapse by Sacramento in that game in the fourth quarter. 35-21 for the Suns in the fourth quarter in that game. They came all the way back to win 119-117. So it probably is a little bit more than your average revenge spot for Sacramento. You would think after, they had that game in the palm of their hands, and they just, you mentioned it, they don't play defense. They didn't play defense that night, not in the fourth quarter, and that ended up being the difference maker and why the Suns came all the way back. And keep in mind, that was a game where everybody played for Phoenix. So they were in control of that game for a large part, and that was a game where we saw Beal, Durant, and Booker, all 3 of them played for Phoenix. So it was an impressive game for like 3 quarters out of Sacramento, and then they completely spit the bit. in the fourth quarter of that game. So that does concern me. I think Sacramento comes into this game with a major point to prove. But that being said, this number just looks cheap on Phoenix. Phoenix is the better of these two teams. They've got the more upside come playoff time. I like their form right now as well. I like that they're coming off just a gut-wrenching loss against Golden State where they think they've won that game, and Curry makes another miracle shot, incredible, shot inside half court with seconds to go to steal that victory for Golden State. So you got Phoenix coming up, coming off that kind of loss. I think they show up here tonight, and if they do, and I think too, Phoenix was in a bit of a tricky spot the last time they played Sacramento at home. That January 16th game, Kings kind of took advantage. Not going to have that same advantage. You got a team that's playing in better form now, Phoenix. They're off that loss to Golden State. I don't think they're going to be sleepwalking to start this game against Sacramento like they did in the first half of that last meeting. So 3 bets for me, full game over, and I'm going to do a split with Suns minus the points and Suns team total over. And that Suns team total, you can find it right now, 124.5.
I like it. A lot of good things said there, and I agree. I think that's the way the game is played. We'll move on over. Next game is 509-510. Minnesota, Portland opened up Wolves -9. They're now an 8.5-point favorite, and the total opened 217.5. Consensus says 214 right now. We have McDaniels and Moore, both game time decision tonight. McDaniels is probable, very likely to play, so expect him out there. Clark is out. For Portland, they'll be without Brogdon, Brown, and Sharp. Scoot, Anthony Simons, and Reith are all game time decision. Simons and Reith more like probable. So, Babano, how I feel about this game is Minnesota. I made some money with them last night. That was a spot, I thought was a pretty good one. Now, on the back-to-back, having to travel versus a Portland team with a couple days rest, it's a Portland spot if I ever saw one. But can we really trust Portland to stay within the number is the question. Minnesota's been playing damn good basketball.
Definitely a spot advantage for Portland, but that's not enough. You can't, and I never in all of my years doing this bet a team based solely on the spot. There's got to be some kind of matchup advantage. There's got to be some kind of, point spread value that, man, maybe there is on Portland tonight. But all I know is this team's lost 4 in a row. The last 2 they lost as a favorite to Detroit, 128-122, and then I actually laid the number with New Orleans on Saturday. It was against Portland, and New Orleans was coming off that game where they played 0 defense against the Lakers on Friday night. I think everyone was stunned how bad New Orleans was defensively against the Lakers on Friday night, but they bounced back from that and they beat Portland. I laid the number with them there. This is one where I'm not going to lay it with Minnesota, but there's not enough for me to like Portland to take them. You know what I mean? They're the inferior of these two teams. I worry that size is going to be a problem for them, that the Timberwolves can throw at them. They're certainly the much better defensive team. And, obviously a huge win for them, a statement win. And I said that on Twitter. This is a statement win last night by the Minnesota Timberwolves over the Clippers, to not just go in there and beat them, but beat them badly and blow them out. That tells me this team is ready to show people that we're in this conversation in the Western Conference right now with anybody as far as coming out of the West, with Denver, with Clippers, with Oklahoma City. Take your pick. They're in that conversation with anybody in that conference right now. Minnesota. That's what that win told me last night. They've been a terrific defensive team all year. You look at series history between these two teams. They just played the one time earlier this season in Minnesota, and it was just domination by the Timberwolves. They won by 23. I'm not stepping in front of the Timberwolves tonight. It's not their spot. It's not the spot to back them for me, but I'm definitely not fading them either. So pass for me, lean under.
Lean under. Okay. WAM, are you willing to push confirm on that button for Portland in this spot advantage?
This is not a dirty dog that I want to get involved with at all. Not at all. Yeah, and both of these teams, they don't play back to back with each other, but they do play each other again on the 15th before the All-Star break. So this could be like stats to be just accumulated right before the All-Star break for some of these players. Maybe you want to get into some of the players that don't normally get involved into the offense that's looking to get stats, bro. So I think this is just all FanDuel type games, fantasy player type game right here. And I don't want nothing to do with it, to be honest with you. This is a backwood, but I would say if a gun to my head, if you force me to, where's the edge in this game that I like the most, it's gonna be T Will's first half. And I see my guy Young Crody, he just dropped it in there. They're 8-2 the last 10 on the road in the first half against the spread. So that's the only edge that I do think that makes more sense there, taking them early against this weak ass team. So I agree with you, Crody.
Yeah, if you do like the Wolves, I think, the longer the game goes on, it favors the Blazers. So you should, get in and get out. I agree with that. One more game for today's slate, and that is 5-11, 5-12. Detroit Pistons going to LA to face the Lakers. Opened up Lakers -12. They're a 10.5-point favorite now. Total open 237, and consensus is 241.5. Injury report for the Pistons: Grime and Stewart are out. For the Lakers, Christie, Reddish, Vanderbilt, Vincent, all out. LeBron and AD are game time decision. And I'm coming back to Babano here because last time we talked about the Lakers on this show, you were the only one who had the right side. So do you think this is too many points for the Lakers team? Or, the Pistons been playing good basketball. They've covered 6 out of their last 7. Do you think they do it again tonight?
I mean, you're right. This feels like public dog, what Jai is saying in the chat. I get it totally, but they've been one of the best bets in the NBA for the last week to 2 weeks. The Detroit basketball, they have been. The Detroit Pistons they've been competitive. They've been hanging in games. Like what I'm seeing from the group, they're certainly scoring offensively. They're 8-2 against the spread their last 10 games, Detroit. There's no question. This team has got a little rhythm going finally. That helps that right now they've got their starting backcourt finally on the floor together. Cade Cunningham and Jaden Ivey, they've played well. I like what I'm seeing from Thompson, Duran as well in the front court. Their defense is still not great for this Pistons team, but it's certainly been better than it's been, or certainly better than it was earlier in the season. There's no question about that. But look at the game that they played against the Clippers. They were right there. They got 23 out of Ivy, 22 out of Cade. That's a really good backcourt, man. If you're a Pistons fan, you just hope, man, these guys just stay healthy. And we've got a little something here with those two guys. I don't trust the Lakers laying this many. Of course, we've got the question marks as far as their lineup is concerned. Detroit's as healthy as they've been in a long time. You look at as well, too. Lakers went into Detroit way back when Detroit was in the midst of their just wretched, brutal losing skid that they had early in the season. And the Lakers went in there and drilled them 133-107. I think I remember being on the Lakers, believe it or not, in that game in Detroit because the Lakers were kind of ticked at the way they were playing at the time. They went into Detroit and they smacked down the Pistons. It was a great spot, actually, to back the Lakers with the Pistons. But I think the shoe's on the other foot now. Like Detroit here a little bit, getting this number 10.5, 11. I also agree with the move up in the total, the push up in the total. The Lakers continue to kind of trend toward overs, 7-3 in their last 10 games. You look at the Pistons as well. 4 of their last 6 have gone over in these Lakers-Pistons games. We've seen 6 straight head-to-head matchups, Pistons-Lakers over the total as well. So clearly I'm not the only one seeing that this game could be high scoring. This total's gone up from 237 to 241.5, and I agree with that move wholeheartedly. Pistons and over for me.
I like the over. I do. I can't get there with the Pistons, but I've been thinking about the over all day. So I like to hear that from you, Babano. Wham Bam, how you feeling about the Lake Show, man? You willing to lay 10.5 with these guys?
10.5 is nasty. Lakers don't never really show up when you need them to do it, man. They never do it, man. They just never fucking do it. And when I feel like that, that's when they do it. So, so if you like the Lakers today, shout out to y'all. I'm not going to be on them with you. I don't want nothing to do with this. I think that Detroit early is the only way to go, man. Like Babano said, they recently been playing pretty solid, bro, recently. Covering spreads and all the good stuff. Why not? Why? He said, "Do you like D'Lo?" Our guy David said, "Do I like D'Lo?" Yeah, man. If the Lakers are gonna win today, D'Lo's gonna have 20+ points, bro. So if you like the Lakers, parlay that up with the Lakers to win. That's probably the best value you're gonna get. If you like the Lakers there, but I'm staying away from this game at all. If I like anything, it's gonna be Detroit early, and that's it, man. Hands up on the Lakers right now. I think that if you like them, you shout out to y'all because y'all might gonna win because I'm not on them.
One point worth mentioning about Detroit here. This little LJ says they're overrun on the road, and the way they're playing right now, they're scoring a lot. They're getting the ball up and down the court. Look at the possession and pace numbers recently for Detroit. For the season, they are a 104.2 possessions per game team. Last 4 games, 106 possessions per game. So that's a 1.8 possession per game increase for the Detroit Pistons in the last few games. So they're playing quicker pace. They're up to 4th. In fact, if you look at just the last 4 games, Detroit over the last 4 games is 4th in the NBA in pace and possessions per game. So they are playing quicker, and that's something I think bettors are probably factoring in since the over's taken money here.
Ant-Man added to the questionable side of things. Just got added to questionable there. Back-to-back games for those teams. So, yeah, it makes sense.
To be honest, any team's going to play a little quicker, too, and they got their starting backcourt finally healthy. And Detroit finally does with Cunningham and Ivy.
And both Cunningham and Ivy can feast on this Lakers team. I mean, look at the injury report. All the guys I named: Christie, Reddish, Vanderbilt. Who was the last one? Vincent. Those are all perimeter defenders. Who is guarding?
They've struggled with good guards all year. Look what Murray did to them for Denver last week. Torched them down the stretch. Yep.
Yeah, it's gonna be Austin Reeves looking like barbecue chicken, looking like this.
So we liking the over here. We weren't sure about the side, but we all pretty much agree the over is the way to go for the total. Good job on today's card. Per usual, we'll do a quick little look ahead towards Wednesday, and we don't have all the lines yet, so no worries. If it's nothing too strong. But Bano, I always start with you. You do a great job breaking it down and starting us off. So how do you feel? Anything catching your attention on Wednesday's slate?
Yeah, this is my first thing is tread lightly a little bit. This is the last big card in the NBA before the All-Star break. There's 3 games on Thursday, but this is the last huge card that we've got before the All-Star break. And this is always one of those days on the calendar right before the break. It's the last game before the break for a lot of these teams. Is it already the eyes and the attention is on the break, the holiday, and for those people that are attending the All-Star festivities, that as opposed to playing the game on Wednesday night. So it's something you got to be careful of here in these spots. So definitely something you want to be aware of. I'll tell you what, this Charlotte Hornets team, man, they're starting to compete. That was damn impressive what they did last night against Indiana and the Pacers. Getting 7 at home against Atlanta, I'm interested in the Charlotte side in that game, quite honestly. I mean, I'm starting to see good things here from the Charlotte Hornets at this point in time. It was a great performance, like I said, last night against Indiana. I'm definitely eyeing Charlotte +7 against Atlanta. New York and Orlando. Knicks, frustrating, tough loss. But the problem, it's a good spot for the Knicks, right? Orlando's going to be on back-to-back. Knicks had that tough loss against Houston last night. Kind of got robbed. Bad call at the end. No question about that. So when I look at that game tomorrow night, definitely situationals point to the Knicks, but they're beaten up to shit. They're still very banged up. So I want to see if that injury report clears up for them. But I definitely think Knicks plus the points might be a decent look there if they are somewhat healthier for that game tomorrow night. Miami, Philadelphia. Look, Philadelphia, where did that come from, right? Without Embiid, they've been a disaster, and all out of nowhere, they beat Cleveland last night on the road. But I actually would lean Philly there. Miami on a back-to-back, a lot of injuries. Be a tricky spot there for the Heat. Indiana and Toronto. Here's the thing. That price looks cheap on Indiana, right? 3.5 on the road. Toronto's a mess. They just got lit up by Wembanyama last night, and the Spurs did anything they want. But Darko Rajakovic ripped the team after that loss, said no intensity, no focus. We got to look ourselves in the mirror, and basically called out the Raptors after that loss last night. So do you just bet the Toronto team just because the coach calls them out? They're not a very good team right now. They're just not. It's hard for me to back them. And to me, that number looks cheap on Indiana. But the concern for me is that Darko really, really got after his players for that just terrible game last night against San Antonio. So that's the only thing I'd be a little bit careful about there, but I still lean Indiana there. Brooklyn and Boston, this is going to be the same two teams back to back, this time in Boston. Nothing really strong on that right now. Chicago, Cleveland. Cavaliers bounce back off a loss at home to Philly. Donovan Mitchell kind of ripping his own team for the effort last night against the Sixers. I don't know if I'd want to step in front of Cleveland off a loss like that last night, hosting Chicago. I think that actually could be a nice Cleveland spot there. First half, full game kind of deal with the Cavaliers tomorrow night. Houston, Memphis. I like Houston at home. I was on Houston at home last night, but on the road, not as interested. That being said, I don't know if I'm on Memphis either. That one is Memphis is starting to come back down to earth a bit, but I still lean Memphis a little bit there. Washington, New Orleans. You got the Pelicans back home off a road trip. Be careful with that. That angle, I've talked about it a lot on this show, can be a little tricky on teams. And Washington's starting to cover these big numbers. How about that performance last night against Dallas? Wire to wire point spread cover. How they were live to win the game outright for most of that game last night. So maybe Washington plus the points. I mean, it's definitely not a New Orleans spot coming off that long road trip. San Antonio, Dallas. Spurs looked impressive against Toronto last night, but Dallas a little bit better quality of opponent. Probably would still lean Spurs, though, getting a healthy number. The over probably as well. Worth a look there. Spurs and Mavs. Detroit, Phoenix, back-to-back for both teams. We'll see how tonight's games go, so no opinion there. Sacramento, Denver. You got Denver obviously getting – I wouldn't want to step in front of Denver tomorrow night. They're off a blowout loss to Milwaukee. They're going to want to bounce back. Yeah, LJ, I would be Denver or nothing for me at home against Sacramento there tomorrow night. Back-to-back for Sacramento. Denver with the rest advantage because they're off tonight as well. Lakers and Utah. Back-to-back for the Lakers. I'm actually circling Utah a little bit there, but let's see how the game goes tonight with the Pistons. Because you talk about LeBron and AD and this older Laker team. How excited are they going to be right before the break? Go to Utah on a back-to-back. So it concerns me a little bit. And then Clippers and Golden State. Golden State keeps playing well. But doesn't it have to end at some point? Doesn't it have to end at some point? And you got the Clippers off the loss to the Timberwolves where they got embarrassed at home. Clipper spot. I think they're the better team. I don't think I know they're the better team. I'd be looking at the Clippers there, I think. Short road favorite at Golden State tomorrow night. So there you go, Wednesday.
My bad, I was muted, but good stuff there from Babano on the Wednesday slate. I'm kicking it to you here, Wham Bam. Anything catching your attention for tomorrow?
Man, if I go straight to the one that caught my attention, is y'all already know what my best bet is, so I'll just leave to the point. I'm gonna start from the bottom like I normally is, and it's gonna see that Clippers, man. That Clippers, like you said, off of a loss, going up against a hot team in Golden State. They know how to get the guys working, and Clay has found his name back, man. I love this team now, bro. I just think that's probably a Golden State spot there, but maybe just the under though, man. Maybe the under is a good spot. I know our guy Moonoff and KC was talking about that in our group chat there. That makes sense to me as well. Phoenix, even though they're coming off a back-to-back against this Detroit team, I just told you guys on the road, as far as what Detroit has been able to do in the first half, has been pretty good money there. I think that's in the first half period, they've been pretty solid there. I think again they may be able to do it again against Phoenix. Lakers against Utah. Our guy Dabby Cab yesterday, he called it with Jordan Clarkson going off. He was at plus money on the 1.5 threes. He went crazy. Maybe against his old team, he tried to get some more stats right before the All-Star break. That makes sense in that game. Other than that, I'm not trusting the Lakers. Like I said earlier, I'm not trusting them still. And like I agree with LJ with Denver. Denver a pass on that game. Victor Wembanyama had a great game against his last opponent. Maybe he has a good game again against Dallas. It's all about the amount of minutes that he's playing. He still played under 30 minutes. Was like one of the first people to do a triple-double with blocks under 30 minutes or something like that, which is crazy. So I expect him to have another good statistical game right before the All-Star break, just for them to be talking about it into the All-Star break. That makes the most sense. And then as far as Washington, I'm going to stay away from that game. As far as Houston and Memphis, I'm going to stay away from that game. Tyrese Halliburton assist prop. I snuckily had that last game. That was easy money. It wasn't easy money. I say it wasn't easy money because he still got the damn minutes restriction, but his pace is there. You know what I'm saying? His pace is there. We just got to get value at the point. So I got it at 11.5, and it barely got, I think I got it at 10.5, barely got to 12. So, you know, it wasn't like easy money, but I seen the pace of it. It looked real good. So maybe we go back to that on Toronto, knowing that they don't play that much good defense. And then Brooklyn and the Brooklyn game. The Brooklyn game, I don't really have too much there because we know it's going to be a back-to-back situation there. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. There we just have to wait and see. Chicago, Cleveland, I don't want nothing to do with that game, especially after the guys getting called out. Like Bano said, just stay away from that one. Atlanta should run these boys out. Steph Curry, that team is kind of that game is interesting. I don't really have nothing there, but this game I do. Miami is one of the teams that is very interesting right now. They got Terry out, like I just said. You know that the boy is not coming back no time soon. As far as hold on, bro. Don't press that, man. you know that the boy ain't coming back. As far as Jimmy Butler, he's not coming back no time soon. They're not actually coming back home until March the 2nd. They're going to go on a road. They're on a road trip again, and then they're going to go back on the road after the All-Star break. So they're not even going to go back home. So most likely they're not even going to have the leader. They're not going to have Terry Rozier. They're going to have a trouble here. And on top of that, they're struggling to cover in the first half. I'm going to bet against them again. Even if they don't win, the Bucks don't cover this first half, which I think they will, I'm still going to bet against them again. So, of course, I'm going to go back to Kelly Oubre with Philadelphia, but we're going to take the Sixers first half in that game, regardless of what the number is. I think they're going to hold it down there. And then other than that, I'll have nothing else in that New York game. I'm going to watch out what Paulo does today and see if he gets his stats today, see if it happens there. But I'm going to stay away from that. But for sure, I like the fade Miami, probably until they get back home.
All right, good stuff. Shout out to the Chillest. He became a YouTube member. Appreciate you. And, you know, like usual, when we have a new member, we'll share something with you guys a little bit later today. And the Chillest, by the way, says, something just popped up on my screen. The Chiller says, I'm going to fade the world and take the Lakers minus the points. And Bitsy says, we found Skee's burner. I like those comments right there. So for my Wednesday look ahead, I'll say this. I'm not going to talk about every single game, but what I will say is Philly, I feel like they're going to start playing a lot of overs. I was on the over last night. Maxey, Buddy Hield, you know, no Embiid down there right now. I see fast pace, a lot of shooting threes.
Yep. No rim protection, no interior D without Embiid. That takes a huge hit, 100%. I was on a Cleveland team total over and Cavs Sixer full game over split last night and went 2-0 with them. So I agree.
All right, so we lined up there. I'm liking that game to go over. And continuing down the list, Indiana versus Toronto. You know, they did just make a trade. I think Toronto will want to win versus Siakam at home, but I do think Siakam is going to have a good game. So maybe a look at Siakam's props, you know, try to go against his old team.
Oh, yeah.
And then we'll go Washington plus the points does look very appealing. They've been a great road dog all season long and a little bit feisty lately. So lean Washington plus the points. Let's see, Detroit, Phoenix, Sacramento, Denver. What'd you say?
Of course, you're a wizard, Harry.
Yeah, you know what I'm doing. That's my squad. So those and Golden State, you know, I'm seeing the line open in Clippers -2. Clippers already beat this team a couple times this season, and Clippers were playing better basketball than they are right now. Warriors were playing bad basketball when they faced each other, and now Warriors are starting to play better. So I would be looking more towards the Warriors to get a little bit of revenge in that game. And that's how I see the Wednesday slate. So good stuff, everybody. And now it is about that time. Move on over to the best bet segment. And like we always do, I'm going to slide it to my guy, Wham Bam, first. Let the people know what's the best way to get paid.
Yeah, y'all kind of heard the Wednesday breakdown. Y'all kind of know what the best bet for tomorrow is going to be either Kelly Oubre or fading the Heat in the first half. And we're going to fade them again in the first half to start off with going with the Bucks, hoping that the boy get his name back, Glenn Rivers, man, in this game. We're going to go Bucks first half, -4.5, -120.
I like it. And I will go next. You guys, if you've been around, you know why. Babano knows why. My best
Yeah.
bet, feel like if I use this play, I will steal Babano's best bet. And there's another play that I really like quite a bit. So for my best bet, I'm going with, shout out to my guy. He's not here today, but it's still levels to this shit. We going with the Suns minus 4.5 points. They're going to wipe the floor with the Kings, man. 3-pointers falling all night long. Suns minus 4.5 is good money. And on that note, we'll slide it on over to Babano. Let the people know what's the best way to get paid and take us home.
Yeah, I'm breaking character with best bets here because I'm going to give you two. I'm going back and forth. Which one do I use? Which one do I use? And normally the rules go with one. Actually, you know what? As far as I know, we should just stick with one. I'm going to stick with one. I don't want to break that rule. Stick with one. I'm going to go with Brooklyn here, +9 against Boston. Pistons Lakers over was the other one I considered, but I'm going to go with Brooklyn +9 -110 against Boston. I like how this sets up for the Nets. Boston hasn't been covering numbers lately. Brooklyn +9 for me for my best bet for this Tuesday card. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Hit the like button on the way out. Dutch has, let's just say, just say marital stuff going on with Dutch today. But he'll be back, I'm sure, on Thursday, no doubt. That'll be our last show before the All-Star break. Shout out to everyone in the chat. And as always, we're going in, we're coming out with the motherfucking bag. Y'all stay fresh, stay blessed, and let's stay putting these motherfucking bookies to rest. Yeah, man.